Welcome back to Gilmour Racing for part 2 of our pre-season preparations for the Formula 3 I've got behind me. I'm Matt from KCK Lubricants. Today we need to get this thing back together. We need to get it loaded. We're off to the track in about 48 hours. We still don't have a lot of our spares. Nothing's come from overseas. We need to do some repairs on the parts we've got, use some of the spare parts we've got in the truck. Either way, we need this thing back together, loaded, we're out of here. So let's get into it. On the last video I mentioned there was a lot of damage under the car and to the floor of the car. Well, this is what we call the floor of the car. It's a large piece of wood that sits under the car, so when the car bottoms out and hits the track, it protects the carbon bodywork and the intricate aeros. These do wear out, and this, as much as it looks terrible, has got very little wear, but we've had to replace it because of this broken corner, and I'll show you in a little bit more detail where it fits on the car and why we've had to change it and what effect that actually has on the aero under the car. We've only just got these front barge boards back on, these large turning vanes in this area here. We've repaired these. These are the original ones that were damaged. The front corners were broken off, so we've repaired the carbon fibre work. All the brackets were bent, some of the bolts were broken. We actually tore some of the bolts out of the carbon work, so we've gone through and fixed that. That's a bit more detail on the front of the wood. It sticks out past the carbon fibre here. So that whole front corner being broken off would have a large effect on the aero. And as the air comes in through the front A and then through the barge boards. So that's why we've had to replace that bit of wood. That's actually where it fits on the car. We'll go through now. We've got some more detail under here and some more wings we've had to repair once again because we couldn't get them. We'll go through and we'll fit that up now, and I'll show you where it fits on the car and how it works. This part here is one of the mounts for the smaller front winglets, and we can no longer buy this from Dallara. So we've had to remanufacture it, but to do that we had to fix the original, which was in 3 parts. It was completely ripped one side off, but we had to repair the original so we could get the correct dimensions before we could remanufacture it. So for such what should be such a simple part and such a simple fix, was very labour intensive and a whole lot of work to get this back together. And even to get the correct angle for the winglets, you can see the 2 tiny little tabs there. That winglet pushes on. Like that. So to get the correct angle for both of those and the correct dimensions was a whole lot of effort and a whole lot of work, but it's one more bit we can get back on the car, so let's do it. Now we're under the car. There's that bit of floor wood I was telling you about. It runs almost to the end of the car. We cut them at the end so we can replace the end section separately because it normally wears faster than the fronts. I've just gone through and fitted, that's that steel bracket I was just showing you that we've had to repair with the little winglets on it. That's now got a cover that goes up over it that we've just had to repair as well. And a little bit more detail on those barge boards, and you can kind of see the airflow now across the floor through that middle A or the V, depending on who you talk to, and the turning vanes on the side. You also see the lock wide bolts. Because they're under a cover, they don't probably get as much attention as they should. These front bolts also pulled out of the carbon from the impact. But now we'll put that cover on, and then we'll be right to put the other turning vanes on at the front. I've just gone ahead and put this cover on here. You can see this has been repaired, but you can see where the front wings come up and hit it. Now the only purpose for that is just to clean up airflow into the front of the tub. It hides all the bolts and the suspension arm mounting points. But now we've got that on, we can put the front barge boards on. We were able to get this front barge board assembly brand new from Dallara. It comes in 3 parts, the 2 turning sides and the front wing. So that wing we've just put up under the car with the steel frame inside it, it mounts into here. So it supports the front of this assembly, and the brackets, they mount back to the larger barge boards which I've already had on the car. So now we can go through, we can fit this up, and we're just about done under the front of the car. You can really see from this shot why that front winglet and those smaller barge boards were the first things to get ripped off. They're very prominent, very low, but obviously serve a very important role in the car and in the aerodynamics. Now the true telltale in putting this together on how well the repair has been is we don't have to force anything to get the bolts in. There's no pressure on any of the parts. Everything's very relaxed and it's gone together really well. So it gives me confidence that we haven't missed anything, and it's the same reason we flat patch and wheel align the car, to make sure no suspension damage has been caused that we've missed. But everything's looking pretty good. Next would be the front wing, so we'll get onto that in a minute. You might have seen in the earlier video that the front wing had ripped completely off the front crash box. Now this is a crash box. It's a crash structure, and it's designed to take a big impact and to kill some of the inertia before it gets to the driver. Now the front wing mounts on the bottom of the crash box there. Carbon fibre is just to tidy up their aero. They've got billet aluminium mounts. Now the mounts are obviously lightweight, but what these do is they break the studs off the bottom of the crash box when you've had a big impact. What this saves it doing is if it was to tear the bottom out of the crash box, the crash structure would no longer work as a crash structure. It would be a compromised part of the car that wouldn't work the way it was designed to. So on the crash box on the car, broke all the studs off. We just go through, all the studs out, new studs in, new mounts, and then the wing mounts to that. And then the whole lot goes onto the front of the car as a complete assembly. That's just a bit of an explanation on the crash box, and what it does, you can see there, it's quite thick honeycomb carbon fibre to absorb the impact of a crash. Because directly behind this is the driver's feet, so the whole idea is to protect the driver. So we'll get the front wing mounted up to the crash box, and then we can put the whole assembly on the car, and then we're just about done. Unfortunately, our newer wing assembly hasn't been delivered to the workshop in time. However, we will get it at the racetrack for the race meeting. So this is our spare assembly. You can see there's some of the lower detail on the wing. And once again, the first thing to get ripped off in an accident, but critical to the aero performance of the car. So what we'll do, for the sake of getting the car together, is we'll put our spare crash box assembly on, and then when we get to the racetrack, hopefully Friday, we'll be able to assemble our new setup, and then we'll have a spare again, so we'll be ready to race. All the repairs are done. Front of the car's back together, all the carbons back on, the winglets, the turning vanes, the barge boards, everything's back to where it should be. We're just about ready to go. Just getting ready to finish off on the back of the car here. We've ordered some gearbox parts which haven't turned up, just general maintenance stuff, new locking rings and nuts. So, because apparently they're stuck in Singapore, so we won't have them for this race meeting, we'll put the best of our spares in. But we've done a lot of talking about lightweight and streamlining stuff, so I thought I'd show you the gears and some of the differences in the products and the extent they go to reduce weight. We've got all the gears and gearbox laid out over the bench, and there's a version of lightweight gears. And you can see they've cut the whole back of the gear out to get rid of a little bit of weight and rolling mass. You can see these are cut out, and this is what we'd call a standard weight gear, so it's had no relieving at all either side. But I just thought I'd show you the difference between the standard gears and lightweight and modified gears, and even the polishing you can get done as part of the process, just for that little bit of an advantage over the competition, because everything really does add up and it does make a difference. I've just finished getting the gearbox back together, and I thought I'd give you a quick look at how the selector forks actually work. This is 6-speed sequential, and the selector forks are located into these grooves on the shifter barrel, and this barrel turns as you change gears, and it will continue to rotate. As you can see, the selector fork will sit in the groove, and it will engage and disengage each relative gear depending on where that shaft is located. The back of the car is back together, the rear of the gearbox is on, the rear crash structure, the rear wing, Rear stays are back on, plugged in the rain light. Time for some gear oil, as I said, KCK Performance gear oil. We know how much gear oil this needs, so the oil's measured when we tip it in. And that's it. The next thing we'll need is some wheels. We're all done. Crash damage is fixed. All the preparations are done that we need to get done. The maintenance and preparation is finished. We don't have any wheels. They'll hopefully be here tomorrow. We'll get them as we leave, and then we'll jump in the truck. It's about a 14-hour drive, and we'll go hit the track and we'll see how we go. Thanks for watching. If you want to join us at the track, let me know. Leave a comment below. If you want me to keep doing these videos, please yell out. Happy to do them. You tell me what you want. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, you need to subscribe. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.